Hello, BookTube. I've got some mail for you today on a beautiful spring day here in Boston. And we've got packages in a periodical, and the periodical has a bit of a troubling thing in it. I wonder if you'll find it troubling. I wonder what you'll think of it. The periodical is Harper's, and the unintentionally funny thing that opens the issue is that they have tributes to uh, Lewis Lapham, who was a former editor of Harper's for a long time. And they asked a whole bunch of people, a whole bunch of writers and editors and whatnot, to send in tributes and gathered them all together. So you have Marilyn Robinson, Annie Dillard, John Jeremiah Sullivan, Sheila Wolf, Cynthia Ozick, Ralph Nader, Francine Prose, a whole bunch of people. It goes on for page after page after page. I lovingly read them all. They're varying lengths. I lovingly read them all and found it unintentionally sort of macabrely funny how many different ways the writers take to get around the obvious. But when you read the tributes, the reality will be obvious to you. And the reality is absolutely true in this case, which is that Lewis Lapham was a raging a-hole, a raging, self-absorbed a-hole, a bitter, raging a-hole. And a lot of the writers here, I'd say probably 99% of them, bless them, they have a way with words. They are used to crafting their own realities, but a lot of the writers, most of them, just can't bring themselves to deny that basic reality. They just won't do it. So you get a million euphemisms. He was a national treasure, which here in the United States is an ironclad euphemism for a raging a-hole. Also, he marched to the beat of his own drummer, or he was a real individual in a world of automatons. All the euphemisms that people use to say, God, was that guy awful. And I thought that was kind of funny. I may even save those pages. But the thing that was troublesome was not that. Lewis Lapham is gone. That's not troublesome. The troublesome thing was at the end. At the end of Harper's, there is a 1-2 punch with books coverage. First, there's a column where someone or other, I don't have a regular person doing it, they should, it was someone or other reviews a roundup of new releases. And I don't know how that works. Do they go to Harper's book room, where the interns open all the new releases and put them up on the shelves? Or do they ask for these things? A lot of the roundups on the new release section seem really random to me in a way that would come about if you walked around in the new books room of Harper's. I can only imagine how big that room is and how full it is. They have that, and then you will get usually one long book review / essay where some writer, a different writer, will look at some new release and decide to bloviate on it at great length. And a lot of those essays are really, really good. I was expecting that this time around. I got new books, the new releases column. Let's see what we have here. The new release column this time around is by Dan Peipenbring. And he reviews a book on old age. A reissue of Sun City. And is there a third one that you're going to do? A new history of the F-bomb. So 3 trivial things that he decides to just link together into one rambling essay. And I turned the page hoping for books coverage, and I didn't get it. Instead, I got a piece by Gabriel Winslow Yost, who is described as a contributing editor to the New York Review of Books, and who discusses here video games, Elden Ring, and does it at enormous length. It goes on for I don't know. I'm notoriously bad at guessing these things, but I'd say it's a 2,000-word piece at least. And I had conflicting reactions to it because we are buried up to our eyeballs in new books, and this space has always been reserved for them. Harper's it began as a literary journal. It has had its greatest moments as a literary journal. Its greatest literary era, I am perfectly happy to admit, was under the direction of Lewis Lapham. So on the one hand, I'm deeply resistant to this thing being here at all, just to it being here at all. I'm thinking, surely you could have made this a feature elsewhere in the magazine. Surely a video game is not worth this kind of consideration. except maybe in a tech column or something. But Gabriel Winslow Yost does not write about it that way. He writes about it in an entirely different way. So one half of my mind was saying, oh, does it have to be about video games when there are so many books out there? So the only books coverage in this issue is going to be this totally random selection of third-rate non-entities for new books, and that's it? All the rest of it's going to be a video game? Okay. So on the one hand, I was thinking that. On the other hand, I was thinking of this piece as an editor, because it's fantastic. The piece is absolutely fantastic. And if I were an editor somewhere in the mix of making this issue, and this thing came across my desk, I would say, I don't know anything about the video game that this person is talking about, but we have to run this piece. We absolutely have to run this piece. It's one of the best pieces in the issue. It doesn't matter that I personally don't know anything about the subject that it's discussing. I can read the discussion, and the discussion is brilliant. So I'm on the fence. I'm on the fence about it. I don't want not that anybody cares what I say, but I don't want my endorsement of the piece to be viewed by anybody at Harper's, the two people at Harper's who watch this video, as my endorsement of giving that space over. I'm taking it away from books where it rightly belongs. At least that's what I think. And I want to know, I think I know the answer from you, but if you were reading a periodical like this and you got to the so-called back of the book where the book's coverage usually is, and you came across a long piece about a video game, would you read it? If you didn't play the video game? I think you might. You might have a good chance, probably with the people listening to this video, probably a 50% chance or more, that you would read a long review of a book that you don't have and have never heard of. But a video game, would you? I don't know. Would you give the piece time to show you that it's worth reading? Or would you just say, no, I don't play video games, I don't read about them, no need. I'm curious to know. I was conflicted on it. I still don't have a clear opinion on it. Maybe I'll write about it for Steve Reads, my revived book blog, and hash it out on the written page. That often happens with writers. But anyway, now we've got a pile of packages. So let's see what we have here. I am going to assume that all of these things are 2025 releases, that I won't have. I did nothing but read new releases last night. Okay, yeah, this first one is January. So this is by David Skalansky, and it is Criminal Justice in Divided America: Police Punishment and the Future of Our Democracy. And this is, I have no sheet for it. It comes loaded with blurbs, but no actual inside description. Let's read the back then. American criminal justice is in crisis. Prisons are swollen, confidence in police has plummeted, and race and class-based biases distort every aspect of the system. American democracy is in crisis too, as the chasm of loathing and incomprehension that divides political factions grows ever wider and deeper. Legal scholar and former prosecutor Sklansky argues that these crises are deeply intertwined. Oh, so he's saying that the chasm between our team and your team is intertwined with the carceral state. That's fascinating. I wonder how he's going to prove that. The multiple failures of the criminal justice system in the United States, its ineffectiveness, its arbitrariness, its bias, its needless cruelty, would represent a national emergency even if they did not threaten democracy. Criminal justice in the divided America shows how police, courts, and prisons help to break American democracy, and how better approaches to public safety and criminal accountability can help repair it. Now that I don't see. That's the part I don't see. I agree with the crisis. Engaging critically with concerns from both left and right, the author lays out a clear and deeply researched agenda for reforming police departments. Good luck. Prosecutors' offices, criminal trials, and punishment. Ultimately, the author argues reform must be rooted in a strong commitment to pluralism, bridging political divides rather than worsening them, strengthening democracy, and securing the broad support that enables durable change. Okay, all right. Good luck. I'll gladly read this and see how, well, in the new year, maybe I'll read it to see in the new year how convincing the author is. Nothing like that is going to work. No plan like that is going to work as long as Donald Trump is alive. Plain and simple. Might as well be blunt on our YouTube channel here, that in the middle of a book world. As long as he is part of this system, as long as he is in this system, as long as, especially as long as he controls the Trump court, both houses of Congress, and the mainstream press, which he does right now, and he is going to continue doing that no matter who wins the election. So as long as that is true, as long as one man is in control of that much, no change is going to happen here. Because Trump doesn't know what the word pluralism means, but he knows he doesn't like it. But the author is the Stanley Morrison Professor of Law at Stanford Law School and a faculty co-director of the Stanford Criminal Justice System. Good Lord, those are powerful credentials. Okay, all right, well, those of you who are really interested in the criminal justice system, I don't know how strong this guy will be on politics, but on the criminal justice system, it doesn't sound like you could be more knowledgeable. You'll want to put this on your list for the new year. We're due. This thing is not long. This thing is, 250 pages. We're due for a nice big block book, a thorough Upton Sinclair Jungle style scandal book about the American prison system. That is due for a big book because it's much worse than you think. But anyway, let's move on. So that's January. Let's see here. Oh, aren't you pretty? Oh goodness. Oh, very nice. All right, so you must be soon. Yes, the end of October. All right, so this is a finished copy for the end of October. So you wouldn't, in a professional sense, you wouldn't bother pitching this to an editor, unless it's me. Unless the editor is me, you wouldn't bother to pitch this to an editor because that's 2 weeks away. So they've had that locked down. That's already probably in type. Not me, not Open Letters Review, which is a free online book review of which I am one of the editors. It's small, but it is read and noticed by all the right people. And it can get you exactly where you want to go. Publishing on Open Letters can get you the leverage you need to get published elsewhere. And once you get published in one elsewhere, you then have double the leverage to get published in a third elsewhere, and then a fourth, and then a fifth. Many, many people can attest to this. Also, we have a fairly good masthead. So this is by Jack Weatherford, and it is called Emperor of the Seas, Kublai Khan and the Making of China. I don't know if you're going to be able to make this out, but that's all gilded. Those waves, those Husaki-style waves are all gilded. And so are the ships, and so is the monster up there. Look at that. See, there you go. How lovely. What a lovely hardcover. So what have we got here? Genghis Khan built a formidable land empire, but he never crossed the sea. Yet by the time his grandson Kublai had defeated the last vestige of the Song Empire and established a Yuan dynasty in 1279, the Mongols controlled the most powerful navy in the world. Based on 10 years of research and a lifetime of immersion in Mongol culture and tradition, this book brings this little-known story vibrantly to life. I want to flash the gold again there. Kublai Khan is one of history's most fascinating characters. He brought Islamic mathematicians to his court, where they invented modern cartography and celestial measurement. A lot of other things, too. Those mathematicians did a lot. He transformed the world's largest landmass into a unified, diverse, and economically progressive empire. Introducing paper money. Okay, yes, economically progressive. Okay, all right. You wouldn't want him to live in it. just so we're clear on that subject. And after bitter early setbacks, he transformed China into an outward-looking seafaring empire. By the end of his reign, the Chinese were building and supplying remarkable ships to transport men, grain, and weapons over vast distances, of a size and dexterity that would be inconceivable in Europe for hundreds of years. Khan had come to a brilliant realization. Control the sea, and you control everything. Oh, my. All right, let's read about the author. Who's the author? He's an anthropologist and the author of the New York Times bestselling book, Genghis Khan and the Making of the Modern World. I thought I knew this guy's name. Okay, so he wrote about the grandfather. All right, I read that book and liked it. He has spent over 25 years exploring Mongolia and its history, and his writing on the Mongol Empire has transformed our understanding of its long legacy. Okay, fantastic. All right, so this comes out as a $35 hardcover at the end of the month, right around Halloween here in the U.S. Emperor of the Seas, Kublai Khan. Great, fantastic. All right, let's move on here. So the next one is a finished copy as well. Oh, all right, we've already seen this. Great. So this is the finished copy. This comes out in late November. November 19th is the date on the list here, so probably too late for an editor now, unless it's me. But this is Neil Williams. This is Time of the Child. This is a lovely hardcover, a lovely finished edition. And let's see, it's in the meantime had a star review from Kirkus saying basically treat yourself to this. So what have we got here? This book is set over the course of one December in the same village as the author's beloved This Is Happiness. And it's a tender return to Faha for readers who know its charms, and a heartwarming welcome to new readers entering for the very first time. Dr. Jack Troy was born and raised there, but his responsibilities for the sick and his care for dying mean he has always been set apart from the town. His eldest daughter, Ronnie, has grown up in her father's shadow and remains there, having missed one chance at love and passed up another offer of marriage from an unsuitable man. But in the Advent season of 1962, as the town readies itself for Christmas, Ronnie and Dr. Troy's lives are turned upside down when a baby is left in their care. As the winter passes, fathers' and daughters' lives and understanding of their family and the role in the community are changed forever. Okay, so Neil Williams, a lot of you will know him for The Four Letters of Love, and the pub sheet says he was born in Dublin and now lives in County Clare. Great. Okay, so, oh my god, this has tons of... No wonder this sheet is so long. This sheet is longer than normal, and the reason why is because it's got tons of blurbs for this book. Wow. Okay. So anybody that we know, Ron Rash, California Review of Books, Publishers Weekly, Karen Joy Fowler, Catherine Newman. Great. Fantastic. Okay. Well, this comes out a while from now. Let me get make sure that the date is the first thing I can see here, so I don't have to go fishing for it. This comes out for a while now. I still have lots of October stuff to do, but it's coming. I know a lot of you like this author a lot more than I do. Let's see. What is this next one? All right. This one is an advanced copy. I thought these were all going to be advanced copies, but no. This is... okay, this comes out in early March, so this is eminently pitchable. And it's not just a question of that you're early enough for the publication date of the book. It's also that you're early enough before the holidays. Key to understand that very few of the venues you might want to pitch for, whether they're very small or medium, Cleveland Plain Dealer, the Sacramento Bee, the Post-Gazette, Pittsburgh, whatever it is, the places, the news, I'm going to newspapers, of course there are other venues, but the venues that publish book reviews, it's important to know, it's important to remember that you might as well consider it the Romulan neutral zone between the week before Thanksgiving Day here in the United States and the week after New Year's Day. They're not going to do any business in that time. You'll be lucky if you can get a hold of anybody in that time. Most of the time, you'll be lucky if you can get a hold of anybody in that time. So this means you're also early enough to get on the January docket before all that work shuts down. So you might want to pitch this thing right away. This is Raising Hare, a memoir by Chloe Dalton, with that as a cover. I don't have a pub sheet here, but we'll just read about the book. Let's see here. Imagine you could hold a baby hare and bottle feed it. I couldn't do that. Maybe you could. I could definitely do it if I didn't have an animal living with me who's genetically engineered to kill things like that. Imagine that it lived under your roof and bounded around your bedroom at night, drumming on the duvet cover when it wanted your attention. Imagine that more than 2 years later, it still ran in from the fields when you called it and slept in your house for hours on end and gave birth to leverets in your study. For political advisor and speechwriter Chloe Dalton, who spent lockdown deep in the English countryside, far away from her usual busy London life, this became her unexpected reality. In February of 2021, she stumbled upon a newborn hare, a leveret, that had been chased by a dog. Fearing for its life, she brings it home, only to discover how impossible it is to rear wild hare, most of whom perish in captivity, either from shock or starvation. I wouldn't have the first idea what to feed a baby hare. Through trial and error, she learns to feed and care for the leveret with every intention of returning it to the wilderness. Instead, it becomes her constant companion, wandering the fields and woods at night and returning to her house by day. Though she feared that her hare would be preyed upon by foxes, stoats, feral cats, raptors, and even people, she never tried to restrict it to the house. Each time the hare leaves, Chloe knows she may never see it again, Yet she also understands that to confine it would be a kind of death. That list there, foxes, stoats, feral cats, raptors, even people, trust me, it's feral cats. For every one feral cat that you think lives near you, there are 10, and they kill everything. uh, this book chronicles their journey together, while also taking a deep dive into the lives and nature of hares, and the way they have been viewed historically in art, literature, and folklore. Okay, so fantastic. So this is the latest entry in a long, long subgenre of people interacting with wild animals, either in the house, or like, for instance, all the books about raising birds, starlings, or owls, or whatnot, or in the wild, like Fox and I, where the animal never comes into your house, but nevertheless it gets to know you individually and comes to like you individually, and you vice versa. This is a weird combination of the two, but that also is common. I love these books. Just love them. These animal memoirs. I think they're fantastic. Well, I'll have to hope that we like this one. When did we say? Yeah, March. It comes out in March. So eminently pitchable, because I'm not the only one who loves these things. Everybody does. So this is eminently pitchable. Any editor is going to jump at this if you have even the smallest CV of published work to your credit. And that is not the chicken and the egg. I know a lot of you will think, well, it's like the old saying, you can't get a job without experience, you can't get experience without a job. I'm screwed. The world is keeping me out. Nope. Nope. You do not need experience to write reviews for Open Letters Review. Probably there are other places out there where that's true, but I know it's true of my own place. You don't need experience to do that, but it can give you the CV that you need to get that experience elsewhere. And this is eminently pitchable because this is not partisan. It's not deep. It's not the Franco-Prussian War. It's not anything like that. This is easy. Everybody's going to like this. Everybody's going to want to read it. And then we have the final package here, and then we'll be done with this mail haul. Let's see. This is the only one that's not a manila envelope. This is cardboard. It doesn't feel very heavy. It doesn't feel like it required cardboard. What do we got here? Oh. Okay. Okay, the sheet that comes with it is just blurbs. So we're again going to have to read from the book. This is also next year. This is January. This is by Deborah Dwork, and it is called Saints and Liars, the story of Americans who saved refugees from the Nazis. Okay, there are blurbs on the back as well. God, you're well connected, ain't you? All right, well, let's read from the inside of the book here. This book recounts the remarkable story of Americans who went abroad to offer relief and stayed to rescue people targeted by the Nazi regime. Deployed by U.S. organizations to Prague, Vilna, Shanghai, Marseille, and Lisbon, they gathered necessities for refugees' survival while trying to find them safe havens. The author is a renowned historian, and she tracks these rescue workers' heroic deeds as she lays bare the moral questions they encountered and their unpredictable and constantly changing circumstances. Among the group was the first female overseas representative of the American Jewish Joint Distribution Committee, who went to Shanghai, negotiated with enemy Japanese to protect the refugee community. There's also the Unitarian couple aiding undocumented people, Jews, anti-fascists, artists, in Lisbon, while serving as American secret agents. It's going to be one of those little keyhole histories that it turns out to be utterly fascinating. I can almost feel it. Drawing on a deep well of archival documents, including recently discovered letters and diaries and memos, the author chronicles both the tragedies rescue workers witnessed and the amazing successes they achieved. Okay, not a big book. There were no big books this time around. Boy. Okay. So the author is the director for the Center of Study of Holocaust, Genocide, and Crimes Against Humanity at the Graduate Center at CUNY. Okay. Okay, do I know this author's name? I think I've reviewed this author. She wrote a book called Flight from the Reich that I think I reviewed. And she has a long blurb on the back here from the guy who wrote Mengele, Unmasking the Angel of Death, David Marwell. Okay, great. Fantastic. Okay, so that is the mail. Lots and lots of stuff here. Mostly we had one piece of fiction. I would ordinarily decry that, but it's Irish fiction, so I'll give it a pass. We have Saints and Liars. The Americans who went overseas, they weren't trapped there and decided to do good good work while they were there. They went in order to help. We have Raising Hare. This is going to get reviewed everywhere. Oh my God, that's going to get reviewed everywhere. It's a surefire thing. We have Time of the Child by Neil Williams in its finished hardcover. Again, I think I said this when I got the advance copy for this. I still haven't got the first book that introduces Jack Troy and his daughter. And although the pub sheet goes out of its way to say that this will introduce you to them, I get the suspicion that maybe I should read that first book first. I don't know. Maybe that's not true. Maybe that's unjust to Neil Williams. Then we have Emperor of the Seas, a book about Kublai Khan. Fantastic. And we have Criminal Justice in Divided America, a book that makes the claim that political divide is actually fueling the horrific torture state of the American carceral system, and vice versa. Which at first blush I thought, okay, that I don't see that at all. A Republican administration led by a gibbering lunatic who gets his crowds to yell, "Lock them up." There I can see the connection to increase the carceral state, to make it worse. But a Democratic administration would just ignore the carceral state. They wouldn't improve it in any way. They probably wouldn't worsen it, but they wouldn't improve it either. They wouldn't take any steps to mitigate its cruelty or its inefficiency. So I don't know. It's a perfect example where the author will have to convince me of the point, and I'm wide open to being convinced. So anyway, that is the mail. Not a bad batch we've had pretty good mail this week. So I'll wrap this up for now, and I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.